Welcome back. Over the past couple of days, we've considered the power of God displayed in and through Elijah. James stated that Elijah was a normal man, just like us, but who earnestly and fervently trusted in God. And Elijah's prayers reflected that faith. In yesterday's meditation, we saw his great faith in confronting the prophets of Baal and Asherah, and we saw how God answered Elijah's prayer and revealed himself as the one true God, and gave the resounding victory. Yet that mountaintop experience was followed by the experience that we tend to have a lot, and that is when you have this mountaintop, you head into this valley. I want to read today, beginning in 1 Kings 19, the first 16 verses, and consider this next portion of Elijah's experience, which reminds us that Elijah was just a normal guy. 1 Kings 19. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, also how he had executed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, "So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time." And when he, that is Elijah, saw that, he arose and ran for his life, and went to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servants there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he prayed that he might die, and said, "It is enough! Now Yahweh, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers." Then as he lay and slept under a broom tree, suddenly an angel touched him, and said to him, "Arise and eat." Then he looked, and there by his head was a cake baked on coals, and a jar of water. So he ate and he drank, and lay down again. And the angel of Yahweh came back the second time and touched him, and said, "Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you." So he arose and ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights, as far as Horeb, the mountain of God. And there he went into a cave, and spent the night in that place. And behold, the word of Yahweh came to him, and he said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" So he said, "I have been zealous, very zealous for Yahweh, God of hosts. For the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they seek to take my life." Then he, that is Yahweh, said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before Yahweh." And behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind tore into the mountains, and broke the rocks in pieces before Yahweh. But Yahweh was not in the wind. And after the wind was an earthquake, but Yahweh was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but Yahweh was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still, small voice. So it was, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. Suddenly a voice came to him and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And he said, "I have been very zealous for Yahweh, God of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they seek to take my life." Then Yahweh said to him, "Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus. And when you arrive, anoint Hazael as king over Assyria. Also you shall anoint Jehu the son of Nimshi as king over Israel. And Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abel Mahalah you shall anoint as prophet in your place." How often do we walk in the same sandals as Elijah? We see God do something truly amazing, and then we doubt. We doubt the power and faithfulness and presence of the very God we just saw perform a marvelous, miraculous, amazing thing. Yet in the midst of all that, God is merciful and compassionate. Note that Yahweh doesn't rebuke Elijah for his faithlessness. Yahweh knows that Elijah is just a normal man too. Rather, when Yahweh receives the request from Elijah that he would just take his life, Yahweh reminds him of who he, Yahweh, is in what he, that is Yahweh, is doing. Elijah wanted to die and go home, if you would. Yahweh's response, even though Elijah was this powerful, fervent, effectual prayer, Yahweh said, no, not yet. He wasn't going to answer that prayer. God's will trumps even the earnest prayers of a righteous man. There is not a man walking on the earth who is totally perfect in his own righteousness. And there are times when even those who seem to be the most earnest and fervent might be misguided in their requests for whatever reason. God's will trumps even the earnest prayers of a righteous man. God had more for Elijah to accomplish. When it was God's timing for Elijah to be taken home, he would be taken home. And how he took him home in a miraculous way. But it was going to be on God's terms, not Elijah's terms. Pray that God would use us in a marvelous and mighty way. That we would have the faith that Elijah had, trusting God to do in and through us what God would desire. Knowing as well then that even when we falter, God is still faithful. He is still merciful. He's still compassionate. And he loves us with an everlasting love. He knows what we need better than we know what we need. We just need to learn to trust him at all times, in all things. Pray. Pray fervently, earnestly, for the power of God to be worked through you, to be worked in you. But that as well, and even more so, we would come into submission to his will in our lives. And have a blessed day.